Hey everybody, in today's video we are going to be exploring some of the unusual places in and around Greenville. We're going to hit some places that might be a little spooky, some places that are kind of weird, some places that have some interesting history. Most of these places are relatively unknown, and but they're worth taking a look at. So the first place we're going to stop is at a navigational beacon that was once part of the airmail system back in the late 1920s and early 1930s. So let's go take a look at it.
What does that mean, a beacon? I don't understand what that is. So when they flew on airplanes, they would see these, right?
Yeah, it's a navigational beacon. So
where was it going to?
This particular route was going from New York to Atlanta.
Really? And they went and looked along the ground and found arrows, and that's how they knew where to go?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. All right, let's go.
All right, let's go take a look at it. So here's the tip of the arrow here, and as you can see, this concrete arrow here goes, the length of these things was 54 feet. So from the tip of the arrow to the back there was 54 feet. Now on this back section here would have been a shed, and on this particular location there would have been a shed here, and right in this spot here would have been a 515-gallon fuel tank, and inside the shed was a generator that powered the beacon. There were 4 different types of these beacon stations. There was the type A, type B, type C, and type D, and the differences between those different types was some of them were accompanied with an airfield and some were not, and some were run by commercial power and some were not. Some were run by, like this one for example, was run on gasoline and a generator. And so right here in this large square here in the middle is where the actual tower would stand, and the tower would actually head up 54 feet into the sky, and there would be a light beacon at the top of that and an arrow pointing in the direction in which the plane was to be traveling. Again, this was a type D station, so this one was accompanied with an airfield. I would assume that the airfield would have been, you know, across the way here at some point, but it's gone. And these beacons were set up every 10 miles along the route. So imagine every 10 miles from New York City all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, where this particular route was going. That's a heck of a lot of these arrows and these beacons being set up. So before there was the advent of newer technologies such as radio navigation, radar, GPS, which came much later, the pilots, these airmail pilots, had to depend on geographical landmarks to find their way across, across these routes. And sometimes it was difficult for them to do, especially at night. So so they set these things up, and this was the system. This is how they got the mail in this particular route. And their routes were all over the country, but in this particular route, this is how they got the mail from New York City to Atlanta. This is actually, and again, they were set up every 10 miles. This is the only one left in South Carolina, and it just happens to be in a little town called Woodruff, South Carolina, which is not too far from Greenville. As Greenville is only, I don't know, maybe 20-25 miles from here. But it's, I don't know, it's historically significant, and I just think it was kind of a neat thing and something that's just long forgotten. People drive by here all the time, probably have absolutely no idea what this is, but this has historical significance in the mail system.
I wonder if it's owned by the United States Postal Service.
I don't know who owned it at one point. I would assume that the Postal Service had ownership of it, but most of these now are, since they've been decommissioned, you know, most of them were decommissioned, you know, back in the mid 30s due to the technological advancement. They did keep them going for a number of years after that in limited, you know, just kind of a limited capacity, but most of them were shut down.
So did you say that the airport would have been right there?
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, there was an airfield here, so I would imagine it would have been, you know, just past the beacon at some point.
Did they stop at the turtles, or did that sometimes? Is that why?
Yeah, they had the ability to stop and maybe take a nap, or, you know, rest, or maybe refuel.
Maybe there was like places here at one time that had like a restaurant or something for them.
I don't know. I don't know what was available on the airfields.
I know we're getting some pretty strange looks from you.
Yeah, everybody that drives by has given us like a real weird look, like, what the heck are these people doing here?
Stop here. Point.
Why are they filming that weird arrow on the
I don't
ground?
think you could even see it from the street.
I saw it from the street. You could
Well,
easily
were
see it
looking
from
for
the street.
Though, but if you weren't,
Yeah, but still, if you live out in this area and you're seeing this you drive by here every day, you know, you're gonna notice it at some point. Like I said, most people probably have no idea what this thing is. I think it's pretty cool.
yeah, I think
So anyways, yeah, that's the first stop on our little adventure. This adventure is going to take us a couple of days because some of these things are a little bit spread out. And another one is closed today, so we cannot go to that one. But we're going to hit 5 of these during this video. And they're all very different. And again, they're all a little unusual, and they're all pretty cool. Okay, I hope you can see us. We are at our second location for the video. This is a place called Tiny Town. It's located in Easley, South Carolina. And the story behind this place is that there was this Perry and Ollie Jennings back in the early 70s lived out here. And the husband, Perry, decided that he was going to build this miniature version of a log cabin that his wife had been dreaming about owning, but he kind of figured that there was no way that they will be able to actually afford to own this thing. So he made her this little miniature version of it, and she loved it so much that they actually continued building more and more of these little structures out here. So this whole place is just filled with these miniature little like towns. It's like this miniature little town. And when was it? 1977, they started to add Christmas lights to it. And so now the whole thing is lit up. So you got to kind of come out here at night. It's about 6 o'clock and it is pretty much dark out. And we're going to go check it out and take a look at all the little buildings that they built out here, and just see what it looks like. So we'll be in there in just a second. All right, so here we are walking into the entrance. So I'm going to turn the camera around so y'all can see what this looks like. This is really, really cool. So they have built all of these little dioramas and little miniature displays.
Oh, he was serious about it, Justin. He was serious about keeping the fire going. I thought he was kidding.
No, just keeping the fire going.
Oh wow, they moved. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw. Oh, this is a bigger one here.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, this definitely has a, well, at least so far from everything that we've seen, definitely a full-on Christmas theme. It didn't start out that way. It started out as just, you know, some little miniature buildings that the original owners of this place created, and it's turned into kind of a Christmas display. This is a building, Santa's Workshop. It's like you can just walk right into it. Oh wow.
Oh, it's nice and warm in here.
Is it?
Yeah.
They got some army trucks, tanks up there. It's kind of cool. This little person playing a piano. So they actually are serving hot chocolate inside.
All over my gloves.
Oh, Chris got a little cup of hot chocolate, so you can come out here and enjoy all the displays. Have a little cup of hot chocolate.
You should bring a donation.
Yeah.
They give this away, and then he said they have to pay for the fire. So
yeah,
we gave them $10.
Yeah, it's free to get in here, but it's kind of a nice thing, to give a little donation so they can keep the lights going, and as the son of the original people who we spoke with outside, keeps the fire burning. And there's a big bonfire over there. We'll get to that in a little bit. So this stuff isn't free, so definitely consider giving a couple bucks, or just a little something to help keep these things going. This is a kind of Americana and things like that are just kind of disappearing from the world, and it's just kind of nice to have the ability to come out and see stuff like this. It's just fun. It's a fun thing to come and look at. Look at the size. I know. That's like, those are full-on trees.
Here. Look at this. Look at their logs over here.
Look at the size of those logs.
I wonder how long that they'll burn until you have to put another one on.
I don't know, but that's just like impressive. I've never seen a wood fire quite like this before. That's very cool. This is a neat place. Kind of a very eccentric sort of scene, but it's just very colorful and it's got a good vibe to it. I like this place. So this little town that was started back by these folks back in the early 70s has grown, and the family has continued this tradition, and it's, from what we've been reading, it's actually become quite the tradition out here in Easley, that people come and bring the kids and take a look around, enjoy the fire, have the cocoa. And this has been going on for 48 years, I think is what he said, 47, 48 years. So if you're in the Greenville area, or if you in the surrounding area, come out and check it out, because this is an Easley tradition. Yeah, it's cool here. I like it. Again, it's free to get in, and you just bring yourself and your family, and you just come out here and enjoy it, and that's really all there is to it. And again, donate if you got some extra bucks in your pocket. We're getting close to our third location for this video. We're going to be visiting a water tower in the town of Gaffney. The water tower is called Peachoid. Now, I know that this particular tower isn't super close to Greenville. It's about, I think, about 50 miles outside of Greenville, but it's worth checking out. So we've arrived at what's known as Peachoid. This is a giant water tower that is here in Gaffney, South Carolina. I'm going to show it to you right here. Surprisingly, it's not as tall as I thought it was. For some reason, I mean, standing next to it, it looks pretty tall, but driving up to it, it looked shorter than I had imagined it from the highway. So this water tower is 135 feet in height. It holds 1 million gallons of water, and it's right in between exits 90 and 92 off of I-85. Again, this is about 50 miles outside of Greenville. It's not super close, but it's not too far either. It's worth, just taking a drive out to at least see it once. From what I've read, the locals refer to this as the Peach, but passing by motorists refer to it as Mr. Peach, and some call it, which I think is a little funny, they call it the moon over Gaffney. Chris and I have many times joked about, you know, this thing. It's pretty cool to look at, but there is, at a certain angle, especially coming back from Charlotte, which we are coming back from Charlotte and stopping and looking at it, well, not even stopping and looking at it, from the freeway, it kind of looks a little bit like a butt. So you can see it right there. It looks a little bit like a butt. This water tower was commissioned in 1981 by the Gaffney Board of Public Works because they had a need for an elevated water source. So this thing was built up in 1981, and it was made to look like a peach, which is kind of cool. And I think the history behind the reason why they made it a peach it's kind of fascinating. So, as most of you know, Georgia is known as the peach state. But South Carolina actually produces more peaches than Georgia does. In fact, the state peach of South Carolina, or excuse me, the state fruit of South Carolina is also the peach. And at one point, Cherokee County, which Gaffney, this town of Gaffney is in, Cherokee County produced more peaches than the entire state of Georgia. And the locals wanted people to know that. So, you know, they decided to make this thing look like a peach to kind of show everybody, hey, you know, this is the major peach grower here in the South. So it's kind of cool. I didn't know that. You know, you learn something new every day. You drive by this thing. We drive by this thing every week, you know, and it's just, you know, it's kind of funny to look at. And when you start to look into things like this, you learn some little bits and bobs of information about it that, you know, are really kind of fascinating. So I'm glad we looked into it. I'm glad we came and stopped to take a look at it. It is kind of a neat little thing here. So if you're ever on I-85 in between Greenville and Charlotte, you can't miss this. It's right. I mean, it's literally right off the freeway. So we've arrived at, I believe it's pronounced Herdklotz. Herdklotz. Herdklotz Park here. This is in Greenville, and this is the site of a tuberculosis hospital that operated from 1930 to 1950, and it was used after that in the 50s as a hospital for the criminal, or not a hospital, but a place where they housed the criminally insane. It was an institution is what it was. So it started out as a tuberculosis hospital and then turned into an insane asylum for the most part.
Look how big it was.
Then in 2002, the building that was here mysteriously burned to the ground. And after it burned down, they just leveled it, they got rid of everything, and they turned it into a park. So as you can see here, they have a playground here, and there's like a soccer field over on this side, a playground up here, which we'll walk up there in just a second, and I believe there's just more of a park area on the other side. So where the playground is actually where the insane asylum and the tuberculosis hospital building stood. So it was actually right here. What's interesting about this particular place, though, is that they kept the root cellar, and this is the entrance here to the root cellar. So from what we've read online is that under the ground here is basically the basement of this hospital that's 100% intact beyond this door here. I mean, obviously you're not going to be able to open the door, but oh yeah, they did seal it because there's like concrete back there. Yeah, they sealed it off.
The door can open.
It looks that way, but behind it is just like a concrete, you know, blocks there.
Well, that's probably safer for people.
But beyond that, yeah, because you can't have people going in there. But beyond that concrete is the cellar, and they said that it was basically untouched, right? They didn't make any changes to it.
It's supposed to be intact.
They just sealed it up and left it here. So it's just kind of eerie that this basement of the insane asylum slash tuberculosis hospital is what this little playground with all the little kids playing at sits on. The name of the hospital was called Hopewell Hospital, and they have this little monument here, Greenville County Tuberculosis Hospital, erected in 1930. So you can imagine all of the people that had tuberculosis. And we've read and watched TV shows about these places before, and so many of them at that time, they just didn't survive. So it was just constant tragedy, constant deaths happening in these places. That said, there is legend that of course you're always going to find that legend about places like this, that the place is haunted. I read online, people report that they've come out here at night and they've been able to hear people like disembodied voices laughing and groaning and that sort of thing. I take all that stuff with a grain of salt, but that's what they say. They say that this park is haunted by the souls of the people that died in that hospital, and I would imagine probably some of the people in the insane asylum died here as well. But I don't know, it's kind of an interesting place. It's interesting that they would turn it into a park, but yet keep that piece of history here. Why not just destroy the whole thing and just kind of bury it, so to speak. But no, they kept it here for people to come out and take a look at. So
we need to remember this if there's a zombie apocalypse.
Why?
Because we could get in there.
We're gonna jackhammer through all that concrete.
Once we did, though, wouldn't we be pretty safe?
Maybe.
You have a jackhammer?
I do not. I do. Don't you have to do? You have to hop at once, right?
Yeah, you gotta hop.
You gotta hop. 1, 2, like that. Yeah, that's how you do it. All right. Okay, Miss Professional Hopscotch player.
So you gotta put on the first one. And then you have to hop over it. Right?
You have to hop on 1 foot. You can't hop on 2 feet.
What are you talking about?
So like when you hop from 2 to 3,
Yeah.
you have to hop from 1 foot. Yeah, like that.
Like that.
Our fifth and final stop is going to be a place called Artifacts here in Greenville, South Carolina. Artifacts is an antique store that houses an eclectic selection of collectibles, curiosities, and rare finds. Many of the items that we saw in here today, I'd never seen before. Some of the stuff that was in here was very, very unique. It was very cool. It almost seemed that a lot of the items in there were one of a kind. The owner was a very friendly man. He welcomed us warmly, and we enjoyed seeing his collection. What brought us here was the fabulous chicken coop that he has in the garden out back. It appears to be based on Southern Greek Revival architecture. We're going to go out and check it out here in just a moment. They have a garden area back here too. I saw online that they have chickens that run around out here, and actually one of the reasons why we wanted to come here was because of this amazing chicken coop. Oh, there they are. There's three of them down there. 3 chickens. And they have this most amazing chicken coop.
Is this what you wanted to see?
Yeah, this is what I kind of wanted to come out here and check out. This is really cool.
Is it real?
Yeah, it's a chicken coop. Look, you see the little step going up there. You see their little, like, what do they put in there? It's like, are those little baby chickens standing there? Yeah, there's 2 little babies right there.
Are they real?
Maybe they're not real. They don't look like they're moving.
They're not moving at all.
No, they're not moving. Those are fake. They look like real from this distance. I can't get too close. But look, like the columns are made out of golf
Oh, they're
clubs.
Who made this? this.
And then look at all the little things that come down the front are little, like the Hot Wheel cars.
Yeah.
And
You
then
know
there's
who
a...
made it or anything about it?
No, I don't. I'll have to ask the guy. You got some train pieces up there, some army men, shells all along the top, a couple of baseball bats that are up there. That's really cool.
You know, you can't really tell because they just painted them all the same color, so you don't really, nothing really stands out. But when you look at all the little things are there, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's all painted this purple color. I mean, what a spectacular home for these chickens.
I wonder why they left these green.
I don't know.
They painted everything else.
But look, the inside of the door's got like flower vases and stuff. I don't know if that looks like some sort of a carpeting or some sort of material. But look, even inside, there's a chandelier hanging. There's a chandelier hanging from the inside.
Well, it
in
probably
there.
doesn't really work.
Oh, I doubt it, but it's just kind of... This is cool. Here, I'll check this out. Here's like another piece of art like the chicken coop. This one you can get up close to. You see all these little birds, little army men. This guy peering around the corner. Chess pieces. Some blocks. This is really cool. Somebody put a lot of time into this. What does it say on top? It says Rose. I thought they repurposed and reused all these little bottle caps as, you know, embellishments on here. You have the birds, the chess pieces, and then just these army guys that are kind of...
It's interesting that they painted them all just the same color like that.
I think it looks cool. I think it looks cool just all purple like this. And then they got the stained glass in the back.
What are those? Are those like bottle caps?
Yeah, they're bottle caps.
And shells?
Yeah, there's shells there too. And then, more of the golf clubs.